Hey guys, welcome to Unit 3, Lesson 2, Combining Like Terms. So before we can actually talk about combining like terms, let's actually talk about what like terms are, and even before that, all the different parts of an expression. So in the last lesson, we talked about translating and creating algebraic expressions, where algebraic expressions were mathematical phrases that have variables in them. So what we're going to do now is we're going to identify and dissect the parts of an expression. So here we have an expression, and it's a big one, okay? So 14x plus 9 minus 2x plus 8 minus 5x plus 1. This is a big expression. So there are variable terms in this expression, coefficients in this expression, and constant terms. Variable terms are terms with a variable. So the variable terms in this expression are 14x minus 2x, separate them with a comma, and minus 5x. Those are the terms that have a variable. Notice that I kept the sign in front of the number with that number. The sign in front of the number belongs to the number. Sounds like a really good sentence to write down. The sign in front of a number belongs to that number. So those are my variable terms. In these variable terms, you have something called coefficients. Coefficients are the numbers next to a variable. So the coefficients of these variable terms are 14, minus 2, and minus 5, because those are the numbers next to the variable. So those are the coefficients, and these are the variable terms. These are the coefficients of the variable terms. Now, constant terms are terms without a variable. So we have some terms in here that do not have variables. 9 is one of them, 8 is another one, and so is 1. So 9, 8, and 1 are the constant terms. They are the terms that don't have a variable. So I am going to work on this chart on the highlighted problems, and then you'll do the rest and check your answers. So for number 1, we have the expression 11a plus 4a. I need to identify the variable terms, the constant terms, and the coefficients. Remember, by looking up at the notes above, that the coefficients are the numbers in front of the variables, and the constant terms are the terms that have no variables. My variable terms for 11a plus 4a are 11a and 4a. I don't see any constant terms, and my coefficients are 11 and 4. Again, go back to the vocabulary at the top to review what each of these words mean. Let's look at number 5. We have 3 plus 13 minus 5p minus 2p. My variable terms are minus 5p and minus 2p. My constant terms, which are terms without variables, are 3 and 13. And my coefficients, which are the numbers in front of the variables, my coefficients are negative 5 and negative 2. In number 9, we have 8a minus 7b plus 1 minus 2b plus 3a. So my variable terms are 8a minus 7b minus 2b and 3a. My constant term, I only have one, and it is the number 1. And my coefficients, remember coefficients are numbers in front of the variables, so my coefficients are 8, negative 7, negative 2, and positive 3. So I'd like you to try the problems that I did not do. Pause the video now, and then you can unpause and check your answer. Okay, so here are the answers. Go ahead and take some time to check and make sure that you have identified everybody correctly. And I also want to draw your attention to number 6. Our variable terms are negative 10r, negative r, or minus r, and negative or minus 6r, with a constant of 11. But my coefficients are minus 10, minus 1, and minus 6. When a variable is alone, the coefficient is an invisible 1, and since this is a minus r, the coefficient is minus 1. So why do we spend our time identifying all those parts of the expression? Well, because we can't combine like terms if we don't know what like terms are. So you can simplify an algebraic expression by combining like terms, and like terms are common variable terms or common constant terms. Common variable terms and common constant terms. So let's look at some examples of like terms, and you can add these to your notes. So an example of like terms would be like 5y, 6y, minus y, 8y. These are all like terms because they have a common variable term. They're all variable y. Here's another example of like terms. 2x, 3x, 4x, minus x. These are all common variable terms because they all have a variable of x. Here's another set of like terms. 5, 7, minus 3, 9. These are all like terms because they're all constant terms. They're all terms without a variable. Here are some non-examples, or not like terms. So 5x, 7y, and 2a. These are not like terms because they're not common variable. They're not common variable terms. So they may not be combined. These may not be combined. Here's another not like terms, 5 and minus 3x. These are not like terms because 5 is a constant and minus 3x is a variable term. So these cannot be combined. And here's another not like terms. These are actually not common variable terms. This one is an x squared and this is an x. So even though they both have x in them, they're not the same kind of x. This one's x squared and this one's x. So these cannot be combined. So how do we combine like terms? Well, combining like terms is basically just adding the coefficients of the terms to represent how many of that variable you have. So for example, 4x plus 7x is 11x. One way to prove this is that if you kind of treat this like, since they both have x, it's really just doing in your head 4 plus 7 and holding the x while you do 4 plus 7 to find out the new coefficient for x. Because you have these terms that are the same, so when you combine them, you're basically saying how many of that variable do you have. This is the same thing because if you use the distributive property, you still get x times 4 plus x times 7, but you're basically holding the x and adding 4 plus 7. So let me give you another example. Let's say you have negative 3x plus 5x. In your head, what you're really doing is negative 3 plus 5. Negative 3 plus 5 is 2, so negative 3x plus 5x is 2x. So let's do some together. Number 11, 4x plus 7x, that's 11x. In number 12, 6c plus 11c, those are the like terms. 1 is not a like term, so 6c plus 11c, that's 17c plus 1, which is not the like term. And you cannot combine these together since they're not like terms. In number 15, my like terms are 11m and minus 5m. Those will combine to make 6m, because it's 11. In your head, you're doing 11, take away 5. And we got to bring down the minus 13, and those are not like terms. So let's see the like terms in number 17. 9v is a like term with minus 3v is a like term with minus v. So in my head, I'm combining 9 with minus 3 and minus 1, because those are the coefficients of those v terms. So 9 minus 3 minus 1. 9 take away 3 is 6. Take away 1, that's 5d, plus my not like term of 7. So now I would like you to try 19 and 21. Pause the video and try them now. All right, for number 19, I went ahead and highlighted my like terms, negative 14w plus 10w plus 2w. And I wrote on the side of my paper that I'm adding the coefficients negative 14 plus 10 plus 2. That gives me negative 2w, and bring down my minus 11. For number 21, you had two sets of like terms. You had 4h and minus 8h, and you had 10 and minus 1. So for the h terms, you're really doing 4 minus 8 to get negative 4h, and 10 minus 1 for your constants to get a positive 9. So negative 4h plus 9 is the combining of those like terms. In 23, we have different variable terms, so I'm just going to highlight them in different colors. Negative 8x can combine with positive 23x, and negative 2y can combine with minus 6y. So in my head, I should be thinking about minus 8 plus 23 for my x terms, and I should be thinking about negative 2 minus 6 for my blue terms. So negative 8 plus 23, that gives me 15x minus 8y, which is combining negative 2y minus 6y. And there's nothing else you can do since those leftover terms are not like terms. So now take your hand and try 25. Let's highlight the terms together first, the like terms, so 9m and positive m, minus 5n and minus 2n, and we have constant terms of 14 and minus 7. And try and combine them and see what you get. So I've combined them to get 10m minus 7n plus 7. And those three terms are not like terms, so that is the end of simplifying that expression. Now to finish off, we're going to do number 27, which has fractions, but it's no different than dealing with numbers because we just need to combine these together. So I'm going to start by making common denominators to combine these two like terms, these two like k terms together. So 22 over 8k minus 3 over 8k, and that is going to be 19 over 8k. So take time to think about what questions you still have, and make sure you add those questions at the end of this video or to your notes, and ask me also in class. Thanks for watching. Thanks for learning.